So today I want to react to this debate by Rob Hersov and Penuel, the Black Pen. And I think most of you guys are familiar with these guys. They had a debate on the Hustler's Corner with DJ Sbu. And I just want to react to some of the salient points that they made and where they come from based on their ideology. And let's check it out.
Free market capitalism. And you've got a lot of platforms that you've shared, ways and ideas that you think can change this country. And right now there's a lot of division that is happening on the internet, especially with Elon Musk and Trump. And I'd like for us to get into that convo later.
So there's a lot of division in South Africa right now, but it's created by propaganda. You know, South Africans are, in the main, conservative, Christian, church-going, good people that want a better life for their family. And South Africans are capitalists. I mean, you're a capitalist. Your business is pure capitalism. Your business is capitalism. We are natural capitalists. There's no one more capitalist than a spaza shop owner and a South African taxi driver. You know, they're going down the outside lane to get back to pick up more people as quickly as possible. It's about building businesses, making money, and getting the government out of the way. And recently, there's been a lot of blame called whiteness, colonialism, apartheid, and it's nonsense. It's ANC Youth League and MK propaganda and EFF propaganda. The ANC doesn't want to take responsibility for the last 10 years of wrecking this country. So what do? They blame whiteness, apartheid, colonialism. That stuff's gone. It's gone.
Not.
But we should be working together to fix this country. And it's easier than you think. That we just need, let's call it the GNU, okay? I was going to say,
as an example,
put the hand up and say, we need less government, not more government. We need to sell the state-owned enterprises, get rid of them. They're just costing money. And let's let entrepreneurs like Mzakes free to build businesses. Let's take the red tape out of the way, the regulation out of the way. It's just government is getting in the way of fixing this country.
All right. So the response from Rob Hersov that capitalism is great and that government needs to get out of the business of doing business. I think a lot of people will agree with that because government has never been great at running businesses, particularly the ANC government for that matter. And when he's asked the question of divisions, that there are a lot of divisions happening in the country now. I think DJ Sbu quotes Elon Musk and Donald Trump and things like that. And he says that a lot of divisions that are happening in the country, they are because of a propaganda, of which I agree with him. And then, but the example that he uses, subsequent example, he says the ANC Youth League, the MKP, EFF. And I don't know when was the last time you heard anything of significance that the ANC Youth League has ever said. The ANC Youth League died with Julius Malema back in the day. So I don't think anybody cares to hear what the ANC Youth League has to say today. MKP, EFF. And I know a lot of times the EFF and the MKP party, they like the rhetoric of, and I don't like it very much, whereby Black people are being portrayed as victims in the democratic South Africa. And that we have done more and we still need to do more as a community, as Black people. That we're not victims, that we're able to, we do not do, a lot of people, I believe, they don't want to wait for the government to do things for them. They just want to be given the opportunity to do what they need to do and all of that. And the politics of some of these socialist organizations is they're trying to emphasize that the system is rigged against you. There's nothing you can do for yourself. The reason you're unable to succeed in your life and all that is simply because of colonialism, apartheid, and all those things have happened and they've left a legacy. But I think today we are in a better place whereby we can do things better. We can do things, we can get out there and do things for ourselves as Black people. We should not be fooled by these politicians who are telling us that there isn't anything that we can do for ourselves, so to speak. The other point I want to address there is that of the propaganda that is attributed to the ANC Youth League, MKP, and EFF. What he omits to make as a point of emphasis is that the likes of AfriForum, Solidarity, the likes of Aaron's Roots, and many others who went into the world, particularly in America, and to spread lies, the propaganda that there is a white genocide in South Africa and all those things. I don't know why he omits to make those. He only focuses on these three. You know what I mean? And not to say these three they're innocent, but also you need to have a balance, a view, so to speak, and tell the truth that the turmoil that we are in today. AfriForum has added to that. Solidarity has added to that. The likes of Aaron's Roots, they got big platforms and all. They added to that situation that we are in today in South Africa in terms of that division and that propaganda that Rob is talking about.
Is it a good thing to sell state-owned enterprises, Mr. Penuel?
Capitalism versus socialism, and I know this is a debate, but communism has never really existed in the world, at least with the end goal of saying no government. The whole idea of communism is community. The people own everything. What we've seen in China, the Soviet Union, is aggressive socialism with authoritarianism, where you've got a dictator who claims he's working for the people, ends up having a lot of power and sometimes bullying people and messing things up. The big fight is between capitalism and socialism. The problem with socialism that we have in the world today is those that claim to support socialism rely on capitalists to fund whatever projects that they have. If our state-owned enterprises in this country, SAA, the SABC, Transnet, Eskom, when we still had it, ISCO and the like, the ports, if they were running profitably and they were making money and governments like, we don't even need to tax you guys. Our SOEs are making such good money. SABCs throughout Africa, we're expanding overseas. Eskom is supplying the whole of Africa. We've gone nuclear and we wouldn't need to tax ordinary people because government would be running the socialist agenda so well.
Look, I think what the response from Penuel with regard to should we still state-owned enterprises and the points that he's making with regard to socialism versus capitalism, I think his struggle is always going to be the fact that you cannot show a lot of empirical evidence where socialism is great, where socialism has taken the people out of poverty into the middle class. There aren't a lot of examples for that. And I think his comeback from this is that you thinking of a state or a situation whereby the people who are in leadership positions, they are good, noble people who do right by people. Like if the state-owned enterprises, they are run by good people and they are they make profits, and therefore the people, they don't have to be taxed. The government has got money and all that. I think that's just almost a fantasy. I don't know of any other place where that exists. And other countries, even if they get some aspect of socialist agenda and all of that, you'll hear that the people have been taxed so heavily, the taxes are so high because you get to benefit other things and all of that. But the top countries in the world, anywhere in the world you look, particularly the Western countries, they run on a capitalist system. And that's what makes them great. That's why you find there's a lot of people who want to migrate to the places like the United States of America, to places like UK, Australia, you name it, what is considered the West, so to speak. So I think that the challenge for him is going to be that. I think everybody agrees in terms of having good people, honest people running these things and stuff like that. And in the case of the capitalist running these things properly and all that, most of them, they're profit driven and all of that. And that is not to say they're perfect in what they're doing, because they're motivated by a profit and all those things. But generally speaking, the capitalists, they're able to run businesses, hence those businesses, they're able to thrive and employ more people. And I think that's what we need. That's what this country needs. We need more business people to be in business in order for them to be able to run this business without government interference and employ as many people as possibly can to get this country out of the 40% unemployment that it's into an acceptable number, whatever that number is, just not in the 40s. So
let's take aviation as the best example of all. South African Airways, by the way, all the state-owned enterprises were run efficiently, effectively, and in most cases profitably under the apartheid government.
You're right.
I mean, they had competent,
but there's a disclaimer there.
Let's just move on.
No, we can't. We can't. No,
I didn't stop you.
You did.
I didn't stop you 10 times when you were on
No, I'm not
Rampage,
stopping you 10 times.
and I could have, because you were a lot of
No, you stopped me once. You never let me finish. It's okay. I'm just saying you have to add the disclaimer. The apartheid government was very efficient. I will agree with you. But you have to add the disclaimer that it was at the expense of the majority of the people. Otherwise, it becomes a horrible example.
Not true. The ports operated for all of South Africa. The airports for those who could fly for all of South Africa, but also for cargo. The railways for all of South Africa. Transport for all of South Africa. Denel, which sold armaments, whether you agree with it or not, the money came back to South Africa, however it was used. They were run efficiently.
So Rob is out of touch when it comes to this. And when you go and praise apartheid, you need to always give context. And you need to be able to say a disclaimer like a Penuel is demanding of him. All those efficiencies that were under the apartheid government, they were at the exclusion of the majority. When you talk of, think about a state-owned enterprise like Eskom, people will say Eskom was being run properly in the apartheid years. But the majority of the people in South Africa didn't have electricity. The electricity was a privilege of the few, predominantly the whites, okay? When you talk about airports and all these type of things, a lot of black people, they don't have a memory of an airline being run properly, so to speak, because they didn't have the privilege to fly as whites did back in the day and all that. So prior to 1994, a lot of good things that were happening. That's why Rob has got a memory of those things, because he was living under those conditions and he was getting to enjoy the benefits of what the government was doing. But he's out of touch when it comes to the fact that part of the reason why those things they became a success is because of the majority of the people were excluded. So when you have something that is running brilliantly, but it's only meant for a few, 9 out of 10, or if not 10 out of 10, it will run efficiently, so to speak, because it's meant to cater for a few people. If Denel goes and sells armaments somewhere out there in the world and they get billions back, but those billions, they don't go to the majority of the people, clearly there is a problem there, because the majority of the people, they are not enjoying that privilege or the benefit of Denel going to sell armaments out there in the world. So I think Rob here is just out of touch, and then he doesn't get it, so to speak, that there was apartheid and he lived under apartheid, but he was sheltered in terms of he got to benefit under the apartheid system. So let's check out the next clip.
Cadre deployment destroyed the state-owned enterprises, and socialism and central control destroyed the state-owned enterprise. The ANC cannot run state-owned enterprises, and Penn's right. It's perfect for looting. And we could have and should have done that with South African Airways if the ANC hadn't destroyed it and stolen it to death. I mean, Dudu Mayeni is chairman. What does she know about aviation? She was there to let the Guptas steal. Example number 1, Ethiopian Airlines, state-owned enterprise, successful. That could have and should have been South African Airways.
Sorry, what did the Guptas steal from SAA?
The Guptas stole from everyone.
No, from SAA.
Dudu Mayeni was there to let people steal.
Yeah, what did the Guptas steal?
Second example in aviation.
Sorry, Rob. What did the Guptas steal?
The Guptas stole R1 trillion.
From SAA?
From all the state-owned entities.
No, I'm just saying because you're lying, so we need to be very careful. What did the Guptas steal from SAA?
Oh, let me get back to you on that. The Guptas stole this country blind, thanks to Jacob Zuma, the buddy you love.
You do know that at SAA, only 3% of the suppliers were black. So when you speak about looting,
here's how they looted. You want to hear how they looted?
And editor, we've got time. We've got time. No, but we've got time.
You know how they looted? Every plane they bought, particularly from the French, there was a commission, and the commission would go to Lutuli House. That's how they stole. But let me give you the second example. We're talking about state-owned enterprises, okay? South African Airways was bankrupted by the ANC. Incompetence, stealing, and incompetent cadres like Dudu Mayeni being put in place. They overhired, like you said, and they destroyed the airline, bankrupted it. It's got a 50 or 100 billion debt. It's finished. It's flying again. And they say, it's profitable. It's profitable on 25 planes.
Actually, all South Africans agree that the ANC are incapable of running things, particularly state-owned enterprise, business, as it were. That's why we do not need government running business, especially business that needs to produce profit and all of that. They're struggling to run even departments whereby profit is not even needed, where money gets allocated yearly and nothing good comes out of that. We don't get the value for the rent, the tax that we pay. So anyway, the issue that I'm having with this particular clip is, I think there is a general consensus that the Guptas, they stole from South Africa. Hence they ran away. Hence they're trying to be extradited. Hence they are fighting that extradition to South Africa. And the other thing, Dudu Myeni is an example of cater deployment, somebody who doesn't know anything about aviation, but she was being given a position whereby she needs to be a chairperson of a state-owned enterprise, South African Airways. Hence, it is where it is today, South African Airways. Yes, now there seems to be a green shoot, as in is getting better. They're buying more airplanes. They're making a little bit of money and all of that. But it didn't need to be destroyed for it to be brought back to life, as it were. So, when Penuel is trying to use a straw man that there's 3% of black businesses that were supplying South African Airways, inferring that 97% were white. Be that as it may, fact of the matter is that needed to change and still needs to change. Hopefully it's changing at this point in time. A fact of the matter is that Dudu Myeni was not competent for her to be a chairperson of South African Airways. And hence the Guptas were able to get so many contracts in there, able to get as much money as possible. They went to Eskom, they went to Transnet and all that. I don't think that issue arises and it can be debated. But nonetheless, I think when you look at the overall debate so far, and I want to leave it here, I don't want to make this video longer, capitalism versus socialism. And I think anybody in their right mind will agree that we need more businesses in South Africa. We need more business to come and invest. We need more people to start business in South Africa so that we can be able to break the back of unemployment. Unemployment is at 40%, and majority of the people who are unemployed, they're black. Majority of the people who are unemployed, they're young people, as it were. So, and that's a disaster in waiting to happen in that regard. And if we're to take a leaf from other countries which are successful, most of those countries, they're capitalist countries and all that. I don't think Penuel had facts on his side, or at least maybe he doesn't know where to get those facts, or he came unprepared. I don't know. But and I think yes, Rob is right in many respects in terms of capitalism and all that, but also he needs to acknowledge certain issues with regard to the capitalist system, or certain issues that has to do with this country. But I want to emphasize that South Africa, we are better off in democracy than we were in apartheid. So let me know what you think about this debate. Let me know who did great, and yeah, man, let's hear your comments. Do you agree, disagree? And let's learn from each other. Thanks again for supporting. Thanks again for tuning in, and hope to see you guys on the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.